All right, welcome everyone to Self-Care Sunday, part of the Holiday Blues campaign by our friends at Tumblr. I'm really excited to be with you today to talk about social wellness over the holidays. So grab a cup of coffee or tea, get cozy, and we are going to dive right in. So, my name is Kasley. I'm the founder of Social Health Labs, a nonprofit on a mission to help people lead more meaningfully connected lives. I've been studying and sharing the science of human connection for about 10 years and building community in a variety of different ways, including with some of the organizations that you see here. So a few fun facts. I was born in Vancouver, Canada, which is actually where I am right now. So shout out to any fellow Canadians who may be joining in. And since then, I've actually lived in 3 countries and 11 cities. So I had a lot of practice with staying in touch from afar with friends and family, even prior to the pandemic, which definitely came in handy. Another fun fact about me is that I would call myself an outgoing introvert. So I definitely crave alone time to recharge my batteries, but I also really, really love quality time with my friends and family. So I would love to know, let me know in the chat or in the comments, where do you fall on that introversion, extroversion spectrum? Because today we're going to be talking all about our social lives, and I'd love to know where you're coming to this conversation from. So while you do that, I would like to introduce the concept of social wellness. So I define social wellness or social health as the dimension of well-being that comes from connection and community. So if you think about your physical health as about your body and your mental health as about your mind, social health or social wellness is really about your relationships. And although we may not hear as much about this idea as we do about physical or mental health, it's really, really important. And decades of research have shown the importance of social wellness. For example, researchers have found that people who have strong social connections have a 29% decreased risk of heart disease and a 50% increased odds of survival compared to people who have weaker social ties. So really compelling evidence that our relationships are one of the biggest predictors of health and well-being and longevity, and that they can truly kind of make or break our hearts. So I'm seeing people comment, we got a few extroverts in the group, we've got some who identify as both. There's also a term called ambivert, which kind of means that you're in that middle ground of you can kind of go both ways, which sounds great. So awesome. No matter where you are on that spectrum, it's really, really important either way to take care of your social wellness, and it just might look different for each of you. So with all of that in mind, I now invite you to think about the holidays for a moment. Okay, so whatever you celebrate, whether you just celebrated Thanksgiving or Hanukkah, if you're looking forward to Christmas or New Year's coming up, this time of year can bring up all kinds of feelings, right? And not always good ones. So let me know in the chat or the comments with an emoji or perhaps a few emojis, what comes up for you when you think about the holidays, specifically as it relates to your relationships, right? Maybe you get really excited about the idea of spending time with your friends and family who you haven't seen in a while, or maybe the idea of being stuck in a house with your family brings up some anxiety and some stress. That's totally valid too. Or perhaps you're spending the holidays alone, and maybe you're content with that, or maybe you're feeling a little lonely. There's just a whole spectrum of different emotions that can come up around this time of year. And they're all valid. I would say really just acknowledge that, whether it's positive or negative, and give yourself permission to experience that because it's definitely real and valid. Whatever comes up for you, I invite you over the next 20 minutes of our time together to reframe the holidays as a unique opportunity to focus on your social wellness. And that's because you probably have a little bit of downtime, right, away from school or work. Plus, it's the end of the year. So that's kind of a nice chance to reset and go into the new year with new intentions. And I see more emojis coming in the chat. Awesome. We got a little bit of mix of things. Okay, some excitement here. Cool, awesome. Well, to help you do that and to help you think about social wellness over the holidays and into the new year, I am going to share 7 research-backed tactics that you can use to help improve your social wellness. So, the first one is to get intentional. So I invite you to set aside some time over the holidays to really reflect on your personal social wellness. Maybe this is the first time that you're really thinking about this concept. So embrace that opportunity. And if you like journaling, take some time to journal. If you just want to sit by the fire and drink some hot cocoa and think about it, go for it. And ask yourself, have I been feeling more connected or more lonely recently? Which relationships do I value the most? And what communities are important to me? And then once you've kind of thought about that a little bit, imagine yourself 1 year from now. Okay, so another 365 days have gone by. It's the holidays of 2022. Who do you want to be part of your life a year from now, right? What are those relationships that you really want to hold on to? Or are there new ones that you're eager to bring into your life? And then on a day-to-day basis, how often do you want to be connecting and in what ways? So really kind of thinking about that ideal social wellness scenario for you a year from now. And once you have that in mind, think about different concrete steps that you can take to actually realize that vision, right? So maybe that starts with making some new friends or deepening your existing relationships, and then dedicating time with those people each week or on a regular cadence that makes sense for you. It's kind of like setting a social wellness resolution. I think the bottom line here is really that it can be helpful to be intentional and to really prioritize your social wellness during the holidays and in the new year. All right. So, second tip is to talk for 10, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So, a recent study that was conducted across the US found that people who talked on the phone for 10 minutes a few times a week had significantly lower levels of loneliness, anxiety, and depression. What I love about this study is that it shows that even just short, simple interactions can be meaningful and can make a difference and help us feel more connected to other people, right? 10 minutes is not a lot of time, and we can all hopefully carve that out in our days and in our weeks to make social wellness a priority. So especially if you're going to be spending the holidays alone, or maybe you're not going to be able to see everyone you want to because of COVID, think about different people that you can call for a quick social wellness boost. It can really be that simple. The third suggestion is to be kind. And okay, this might sound a little hokey, a little touchy-feely, but I promise you that there is so much research and hard data showing that it actually feels good to do good. And kindness benefits not just the receiver, but also the giver. So for example, earlier this year, the neighborhood app Nextdoor launched a study where they invited users around the world to do simple acts of kindness for their neighbors. So this could be things like waving and saying hello and chatting over the fence. This could be things like bringing in someone's groceries or, helping them mow their lawn, different gestures of connection and kindness. The researchers found that people who did these simple acts of kindness significantly reduced their loneliness. So at the start of the study, 1 in 10 people felt lonely, and at the end of the study, 1 in 20 people felt lonely. So here again, it's relatively simple, right? And yet these simple gestures can mean a lot. So over the holidays, think about acts of kindness that you can do for the people around you, and think about digital acts of kindness that you might be able to do, right? Our online interactions are also influencing our social wellness, and a lot of us spend a lot of time online. So it's really important to kind of pay attention to how we're engaging. Are you maybe passively consuming content? Are you using social media and technology to stay in touch with people, to reach out to friends, maybe to support different people like artists you enjoy or other creators who you admire? being really kind of intentional about this and our digital habits is a really important way to improve our social well-being. And one easy way that you can approach this is the next time you're scrolling through your feed on Tumblr or a different social media platform, just pause every now and then and leave a comment on someone's post, complimenting them, thanking them, saying something sincere. Again, here it can be simple, but that's so much more meaningful than just liking their post or scrolling on and kind of ignoring it. So finding those small little moments where you can introduce kindness into those interactions. Another idea is to use Koko Bot, which is a tool that recently launched on Tumblr. It's free and it allows you to connect anonymously with other Tumblr users to support each other and just be there for each other and spread a little kindness online. So we're going to drop a link in the chat to that tool for you to try that out if it's of interest. So a fourth suggestion is to go deep, okay? This is for all of you who want to just skip the small talk and head straight into deeper conversation. So a really interesting study was done earlier this year across Canada, where they found that people who had 3 or more close friends were significantly happier than people who had fewer close friends. And other research has shown that friendship is a really important source of our social wellness. It predicts our health, it predicts our longevity, and things like that. So think about who are those 3 people for you that you really want to invest time with and go deep. And with those 3 people in mind, one way to deepen your connection is through quality time, right? And through shared experiences, but another is through conversation. And there's a couple ways that I really love to deepen my conversations with people, especially with the holidays coming up, where there are going to be moments where you're sitting around the table with your friends and family, and that's a really great opportunity, again, to deepen your social wellness. So one way that I love doing this is using conversation prompts, and there are many different card decks available that you can get, like the Skin Deep or Table Topics, where if you just have those on the table and people can pick out a card and ask a question, I found that to be such an interesting way to spark new conversations that you might not have otherwise had and to learn something new about each other. So try it out. Another approach I like is what I call narrative nights. So a narrative night is when you pick a theme for a dinner, and over the course of dinner, every single person at the table shares either a personal experience or some sort of story about that theme. And once again, I have had some of the most amazing dinners and gotten so much closer to friends of mine through using this very simple way to go deep. All right. Tip number 5 is to say thanks and express gratitude, right? So many studies have shown that gratitude and expressing it specifically helps people connect in more meaningful ways. For example, it's been shown to help romantic couples to actually feel closer. It actually kind of changes their perception of the relationship and makes people feel more satisfied, which is really cool. And expressing gratitude has been shown to help coworkers get along better, be more helpful, be more collaborative. So I invite you there to think about not just your friends and family, but also the other relationships that you have that contribute to your social wellness with coworkers or any other people in your life. So consider this holiday spending some time, maybe writing some thank you cards, or it can be really simple. Again, just text a friend and say, hey, I appreciate you. Here's something I love about you in particular. This is just a simple but meaningful way to show that you care and also to reciprocate. There's a lot of interesting research by psychologists showing that reciprocity is a really key ingredient in healthy relationships. All right. Tip number 6 is to give back. So another approach to social wellness is volunteering. And I think this is a really underrated approach. There's actually a lot of evidence for it. So for example, a few years ago, researchers surveyed over 10,000 people, and 2/3 of them said that volunteering helped them to feel less isolated. And this kind of makes sense, right? If you're volunteering in some capacity, it's a great way to meet new people, maybe make some new friends. But it's also importantly a great way to become part of a broader community and to feel a sense of belonging and kind of purpose with something that's broader than just your one-on-one relationships. And this brings me to a really important point about social wellness, which is that it's not just about your one-on-one relationships, although those are very important, but social wellness also comes from our sense of belonging to broader groups and networks and communities, right? Those could be your neighborhood, it could be your school or your workplace, it could be a book club you belong to, an organization you care about, a sports team. Different communities like that can make us feel connected to each other in a really meaningful way. So, this holiday season, consider embracing that festive spirit of giving and contributing your time to a cause that you care about, volunteering with an organization, and see how that affects your social wellness. So, tip number 7 is to fly solo. I wanted to make sure I put this in here for all of my fellow introverts out there. Don't be afraid to take some time away, right? If you need some alone time to recharge, go for it. And if you're feeling anxious at all, or if things come up over the course of the holidays, just give yourself permission to take breaks and to spend quality time with you. Because even if you're an extrovert, even if you're nothing but excited about the holidays, it's still absolutely essential to build a really strong relationship with yourself, because that's part of social wellness as well, right? The foundation that you build in your relationship with yourself carries into all the relationships that you have with other people. So this is really, really important to keep in mind. So with that, I would love to know in the chat or in the comments which one of these stood out to you as something that you'd like to try, or are there other ways that you like to prioritize your social wellness that you might be able to share to help all of us out over the holidays? Definitely put those in the chat or comments. And if you want more ideas around social wellness, or if you're interested in learning more of the research behind social wellness, we're going to drop a few links into the chat to articles, books, apps, events, all different things that might be helpful and that you might enjoy. You can also feel free to reach out. I absolutely love connecting with people around this topic of social wellness, and I'd love to hear from you and kind of tell me about your experiences and what's worked for you and times in your life when you felt really connected and why that might have been. All right, and so with that, thank you again so much to our friends at Tumblr. This has been really fun. I hope you all have a connected holiday and that you go into the new year feeling re-energized and motivated to really focus on your social wellness in 2022. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.